So today we're going to be taking a look at the future of the world. Now I have done videos similar to this before, but world is always changing, different events are always occurring. Today we're going to be taking a look maybe 50 to 100 years in the future, seeing any border changes, political changes, and so on and so forth. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated and helps out the channel. And let's go ahead and dive straight into this scenario. So right now the year is 2023. You might be watching this in 2024, 2025. I don't know when you're watching this. Basically, it's 2023, and we're going to be taking a look at the future, as I said maybe 3 times now. So right now in the world, we have things like the Ukraine war going on, which has been ongoing for over a year now. We have tensions over here between China and Taiwan. We have BRICS trying to do a whole new world currency thing. Not sure how that's going to work. We have NATO expanding. We have the EU possibly expanding soon. And yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening in the foreseeable future, in the next 10 years, so the next decade. And I'm going to highlight some of those things here. And there might not be a particular order here. I don't want to have overlapping events, so I don't want to have 2 things happening at once. So we are going to be going one at a time, but do note that I may or may not be chronological. So starting off with the Russian-Ukraine war, this has been stalemated for a couple of months now, and nothing much has happened, but I do believe that eventually the war will end, as I've stated in a previous video not too long ago. I think somehow that Ukraine manages to get out of this war while also losing Crimea, so that will officially be Russian, and they might also end up losing a little bit of the Donbass area, losing Luhansk and Donetsk. With that being said, this war is pretty close to being over in the next couple of months, I believe. Even like the Pope is trying to get it to end. That's how tired the world is of this war. I think Zelensky and China's leader, they recently held a call together, which was the first since the war started. So overall, the world is moving towards a peace negotiation because they're tired of this happening. Russia has done nothing but make a fool of themselves with this war, and the West has only really gotten more united due to this. So it backfired for Russia, and I'm surprised they don't want out. They're dead set on trying to get Ukraine, but it just isn't working for them. So I do believe that the Ukraine war will end, and I also do believe that the Russians will probably get land out of it, that being, once again, Crimea and the Donbass area. So now we hop over to China and Taiwan, where it's interesting. So China and Taiwan have been kind of throwing Molotovs at each other recently. Not actually, but in terms of like verbally, they have not been nice to get to each other lately. So could a war break out over here? I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future in the next 3 or 4 years, maybe in a decade or so we could see something. But if this were to happen, it would be pretty catastrophic because I do believe the US would get involved in this war, whereas a war with Ukraine, I don't think, well, obviously the US hasn't gotten involved with that directly, whereas a war with Taiwan, I do believe they will get involved directly because of how important Taiwan is to the US. Computer chips and such are imported from Taiwan here in the United States. I think it's like 90% of the world's stuff. So not only the US would be mad about this, but also other countries like Japan and South Korea. And this could very well bring about an East Asian war. And I don't think Russia would be involved in this. So we don't have to worry about necessarily a world war, although this is certainly the capability of being one, even with only a few countries. India could technically get involved, but I don't know. They're moving kind of towards China right now with the whole BRICS thing. But we definitely could see a war. Actually, no, Pakistan would be in it. We could see some kind of war that involves all of these countries here, maybe Mongolia, depending on what happens. But this is very possible. A war over here, and then of course with the US and Canada, and then probably a little bit of NATO too getting involved. These countries could be at war in the next decade. And it's all over in a little island here that most Americans can't even point to on a map. So I'm not going to draw any borders for this because I'm not 100% sure about it. I know the Russian-Ukraine thing is probably going to happen soon, but this, not sure. All right, now we go over to NATO in the EU. So NATO has expanded recently, and the EU is looking to expand as well. So Finland joined recently. I think it was April 4th, so a little bit. Actually, it was basically a month ago. You're seeing this on my birthday, so happy birthday to me. But Sweden is probably going to be joining within the next couple of months. I think maybe August, September, October. Towards the later end of 2023 is when they'll end, or was when they'll join. So obviously NATO is going to get another member, and I think that other countries could soon follow suit. So after the whole Ukraine war ends, I believe Ukraine can also become a NATO member, although maybe a couple of years down the line, after Turkey and Hungary stop doing their mean things and blocking people from joining NATO, like Sweden. I do believe Russia will also try to squeeze something out of Ukraine in the peace deal, saying that they can't join NATO. although that is it's a violation of NATO's policies, so I don't think that's going to be like written in words. Russia can try to verbally enforce it, but I don't think they will be able to. Even, you know, they take Donetsk and Luhansk as well as Crimea. I think that that's all they're going to get out of it. They're not going to get anything else. So that means Ukraine is open to NATO, and I do believe Ukraine will eventually join NATO. Other countries that may join NATO is Georgia. Georgia's in a similar-ish situation to Ukraine, except they are currently under a ceasefire, I believe, with South Ossetia and Abkhazia. These two areas are occupied by Russia, and I think that they could probably, Russia could at least maybe get them in a peace deal. This might be part of a mission by the UN just to stop all Russian aggression at one time. And unfortunately for these countries, it would involve them losing some pieces of land. So in this case, Georgia would lose South Ossetia and Abkhazia. But with this, Russia would no longer technically be in conflict with Georgia, meaning that Georgia can join NATO and the EU, in which I believe it will eventually do. Maybe past that decade mark though, so it might be within the next 20 years or 30 years. It's a very long process for countries to join the EU. I think it's even longer than it is to join NATO. Speaking of the EU, let's get to some countries that might join them soon enough. Moldova has recently applied to EU membership, or actually not recently, it was a little bit, almost a year ago I want to say, and they really don't have any boundaries when it comes to joining. I think it's more of Transnistria being a problem right now, which is an area of Moldova that's occupied by Russians. Yeah, that's really weird to think that there are Russians right here, and this was before the Ukraine war. So paratroopers, I'm assuming, actually I'm not 100% sure. I think there is water connecting right here, so maybe they just like sailed up the, I don't know how they did that, because it's Ukrainian land. But yeah, I think Transnistria is probably holding them back from the EU. I don't think they joined it or applied to join NATO, but if they did, I don't think that they're gonna get in anytime soon, whereas Finland and Sweden were more urgent because they're more powerful countries. Obviously, getting the more powerful countries into your alliance is going to be more of a priority than getting a weaker country such as Moldova. Now, Kosovo is an interesting topic here. It is a country that is also not a country. It just depends on how you look at it. If you're from Serbia, it's not a country, but if you're from a Western nation, it is a country. It's similar to Palestine, except kind of the other way around, where most of the world doesn't recognize Kosovo. Only Western countries recognize it. In Palestine, it's the complete opposite, where most of the world recognizes Palestine, but the Western countries tend to not recognize it. Now, I'm not sure why Western countries don't recognize Palestine. I don't see why not. Kosovo, I understand, but like keeping Israel happy, most of the world already recognizes Palestine, so you might as well just recognize it, just because. I think it's only like the US and a few European countries that strictly don't recognize it. I'd say just do it. If you're from Israel, then whoops, there goes my opinion. I think the same thing could be said for Kosovo. It's independent technically, but a lot of people say it isn't. But even though technically it is, so you know what, screw it, recognize everything. Let's just recognize Texas, you know. There, it's fair then. But yeah, I don't really see anything happening here for Kosovo. Their situation is just a little unique in terms of like existing. But going next door to Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think there could be a civil war here in Bosnia within the next 10 years, maybe a little bit past that, maybe pushing the 20-year mark. But basically, the Republic of Srpska is it's interesting. Doesn't want to be Bosnian, but also Serbia wants them to be Serbian. So yeah, the Balkans are a mess. If you can't tell, if you didn't know, the Balkans are a mess. Everyone hates each other. Like this is a team, and then we have this is a team, and then we have not that. Then we have, hold on, this as a team. So yeah, and then we can go even further. We can like put, I think, Hungary in on the red team and Romania on the blue team. And then it goes even further. So then it goes to Turkey being on the red team. And then all of Europe gets involved because why not? But yeah, you can see this place is a mess. It doesn't like each other. And it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years. Maybe the EU could try to hold it together. Maybe allowing some of these countries to join in, despite the fact not meeting the requirements. But that might be what they have to do in order to preserve these borders. And these borders are apparently not good enough. So maybe we just need to let them fight. Maybe we need the Balkans to have an all-out clash and just let them sort it out themselves. I'm sure that will work 100%. I'm sure we've never tried this before, or at least let it happen before, and I'm sure it didn't technically lead into a world war. Speaking of world war, I think we're overdue for one. Let's see, World War II ended in 1945. 2023, so yeah, that was almost 90 years ago. I think we're overdue for one. And I think one is possible within the next 10 years. I don't see it happening within the next year or so. But with the whole BRICS thing happening, with them trying to do their own currency to try to replace the US dollar, and with the US and its allies expanding a little bit, and with Russia being the D-bag that it kind of is right now, it's just all, the right pieces are falling in place for a worldwide conflict to take place, whether it be happening with China and Taiwan or Russia and NATO. If you want to see what the sides or even scenario of that would look like, go watch one of my many World War III videos, because I have a lot of those. Once again, that kind of happens a lot more frequently when there's more world events happening. As of late, there hasn't been much, but maybe we could see something soon with the whole BRICS thing happening. Saudi Arabia recently kind of switched up on the US, so there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Maybe I should make a World War III video. You guys tend to like those, so I guess that's what my next video might be. Also, concerning what season 2 of the Alternative Future series, I am waiting to get time to do it. I want to make a trailer for it, and I know what I want to do for the trailer. I just don't know how to do it, because I'm not good at animating. I'm not good at like editing kind of stuff. And the editor that I recently hired, no offense to you, but I don't think you know how to do it either. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to make it work. But if you do know how to animate, just like let me know, because I'll pay you extra. So yeah, World War III, very possible. Maybe within 10 years. Now let's talk about this big old mess of just everything. I could probably include these guys too, because they're kind of in on it. This is not good. This has never been good, and we have to thank the British and the French for that, but this is not good. This hates that, and that technically hates this, and this hates that, and these two hate that right back. This guy loves that guy, and that guy hates this guy. This guy's just there. This guy hates this guy, and this guy is friends with this guy. This guy is friends with these guys, and this guy is just chilling. Oh, did I mention that this guy and this guy don't like each other? Just in case you didn't know. If you're new to geopolitics, figure this out right away, because this is like the biggest example of I hate you and you hate me. Also, this guy's chilling. So yeah, the Middle East is very complicated. If you were to look at a history book, you would still not be able to figure this out, because I don't even think modern day historians know what's happening here. They do, obviously, and it's kind of the root of Israel and Palestine a little bit, but also just clashing portions of religion and explosions that may have been caused by someone else or others. And yeah, let's just blame George Bush, both of them, because technically they were both here. Anyway, something will definitely happen within the Middle East in the next 10 years. I think Turkey invading Syria, or maybe even invading Iraq, is a thing that could happen within the next 2 or 3 years due to Turkey's leader. Now, he might get ousted in an election, which if that does happen, that's very good for the West. Not so good for anyone who doesn't want the West to be powerful. Now, if the leader they do elect is non-Western, then it's obviously not good for the West. But their current leader is a little bit of a flip-flop, if you know what I mean. Turkish people, unless you're a nationalist, you know what I'm talking about, I think. Or maybe I'm just a stupid American who doesn't know anything. Probably the latter. But yeah, Iran could also do something with Israel. Israel and Iran absolutely hate each other. Maybe a little bit more so than Israel and Palestine, although they're always going at it. It's kind of like a sibling thing, where the bigger kid hits the little kid, or the little kid hits the big kid, and the big kid pushes back, and then the little kid starts crying. Except it switches every time, so the narrative is always switching. It also depends on what news source you look at, because Western news sources tend to favor the red, whereas other world sources tend to favor the blue. And if none of that made sense, you're in the right place, because it doesn't make sense to me either. All right, down to Africa here. Don't think much is happening. Maybe something with Ethiopia. Ethiopia has been kind of interesting recently, with Eritrea as well. There's been a lot of fighting happening, and Ethiopia, I think, is technically in some sort of rebellious state. Yeah, I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, because, like I said, I don't know enough to talk about it. South America is chilling. North America is chilling. Oceania is it's chilling for the most part. Oh, we could talk about Bougainville? Is that what it was called? A new country will be here in 2027, New Bougainville, or whatever it is. And that will be interesting. It's this, I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me. Or maybe it's this. I think it's this. Yeah, it's splitting off from Papua New Guinea soon, so look forward to 196 countries. Philippines and China are still going after the whole South China Sea thing. I don't think that's ever going to be resolved. So yeah, Myanmar is doing stuff. They're still under control of the junta, so yeah, there's that. They'll probably be solved by China in a few years. So maybe we could see a scenario in which China kind of just asserts itself. Maybe India asserts itself. I don't know. I don't know too much about it, so once again, I'm not going to say too much about it. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I am interested in seeing what you guys think will happen in the future, so type me a paragraph in the comments. Ridicule me if you wish, because obviously I'm not going to be 100% accurate in all the stuff, which it's kind of hard to be because this is like the future. I'm just saying I got the Ukraine war right. I think I said it would happen on the 22nd and it happened on the 23rd, or maybe I said the 23rd and it happened on the 24th, something like that. But I was super close, so like I know what I'm talking about. Hopefully I'm not right in this video, but you never know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to show some support by liking, subscribing, commenting, and throwing your money at me. That helps a lot too. Obviously that last step is optional, but if you do want to do it, the channel memberships are there. I haven't been really good with it, so maybe don't sign up for channel memberships because I keep forgetting that they exist. But yeah, that's probably bad financial. I just probably shouldn't have said that, but it's out there now. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. And of course, thank you to all the super fans. This includes Patrick Clauser, Yo Moma Moma, Texan Cowboy Cheese, Kylie Speaks Plays, Poland Country Ball, Dimitri, DW Cool Dude, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Yakko, Soviet Ball, and Serminator. Once again, thank you guys.